Hey, coffee experts. Those of you running independent coffee shops, you're always looking for ways that you can drop your costs. And we here at the Coffee Experts Club really understand that. And so we've started something called Indie Coffee Coalition. And what it's designed to do is to drop your costs on two of the things that you're probably experiencing the highest sales volume in your store. And that is energy drink and frat mix. Those two line items, we've created our own products and are offering you those products at a reduced cost so that you can cut out the Red Bull of America. You can cut out the main lines of energy drinks that you're doing and serve your own energy drink at a reduced cost on a line item that you're probably already making a lot of sales on anyway. The best way that you can grow sales is by dropping your costs and maintaining a current volume. So check us out at indiecoffee.co and we'll love to tell you more there.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Yes, Coffee Experts Club. Ben Clatterbuck, how are you doing today?
Good day. Doing well, sir. Doing well. Thank you very much.
Good. We're missing the mighty Drew Moody. He's transversing the Belizean coastline. I think it's so rad, dude. It's so cool to have locations in the jungle and on the water. You know what I mean? But you lose about a half a day on transit. And so we lost Drew today, but hope he's enjoying the beauty of Belize.
I remember the only time I've been down there to Belize and we went to the island, I didn't realize how long that boat ride was from the mainland to that's no joke if you have to do that a lot.
That's true. Yeah. And you start wondering, like, should I just make a flight? How expensive is the flight? You know, like you said, and the flight, you feel so, I was telling Drew, like he and I were messaging back and forth as he was getting off the plane. And I'm like, dude, how badass does it feel just to be on, because it's just a little water jumper. Yeah, I mean, like you're not 10,000 feet off the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're going over the ocean. I'm like, I just feel like such a boss when I'm up there, like doing work on my phone while I'm like flying over this island. Yeah. I mean, it just feels so cool. So it's cool to have a coffee business someplace that you love.
Yeah, someplace nice too.
Yeah. Location number 3 too is feeling really good. It looks like we're gonna be opening up in the next month or so. Maybe just a little bit longer than that. Probably maybe like 2 months, I guess, is what it actually comes out to. But construction's going good. Everything feels like it's flowing well. So that's been exciting.
Yeah, typically, if you're building here in the States, they give you a timeline of like 9 months, and then you can realistically add another 3 months to that construction timeline. It's been like what, the third location's, they've only been building for like 2.5 months, haven't they?
Not even. Yeah, they started, Megan and I were there for Megan's birthday, like this time last month.
That's
And
wild.
they were just starting to move dirt on the lot. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy when you start removing some of the bureaucracy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's things that just slow us down here. And I understand why we have code and why we have things here, but it's cool when you can release some of that constraint.
That's so crazy.
Oh. Anyway, hey, I thought we could talk about today something that we're in the middle of with quite a few clients right now. And I think especially the time of year that it is, I think it's good to be checking in, and maybe even weather contributes to some of it right now on thinking about it. But climate check, like for us, Pacific Northwest, climate's just starting to change, right? We're just starting to get out of winter, crawl out of like just cold, rainy, wet, dark into starting to see some spring days, some more sunshine. Everything's blooming, which is so exciting. And I think it's also a good time to be asking yourself, am I taking a climate check on the business? The key relationships within the business. We've talked about this a couple different ways in the past, but I thought, it's just good for us to talk about the fact that businesses aren't just mechanical things that move by gears. It's not just about your profit loss. It's not just about like traffic count and how we're pushing ads. Like the reality is that your business is built on people, and you should be taking a consistent climate check on the people that you're working with. Because Ben, like you and I were talking about this yesterday, I can't tell you how much cognitive dissonance, how much like noise, broken relationship can bring into a business because we haven't been doing maintenance.
I mean, you take all the way down to your baristas at the barista levels, climate check-ins with your employees, climate check-ins with your managers. Well, we even talked about, checking in with your vendors. There's a trap that you can fall into where it's like your vendors are, yeah, I pay them, they provide a service. That's
Yep.
all that's necessary. But if you're a local indie coffee shop, you're probably working with some local indie vendors too. Like they're people. Like
Yep.
at the heart of it, you can't get away from like, yeah, you have to say hi to this guy, and this guy has to decide whether or not he actually wants to do business with you. So
Yep.
like doing a climate check, even with your vendors, saying, hey, how's it going? Is our business working for you? Is there anything we can do better? All of that's just gonna better your business. And if you ignore it, then especially if you start having a problem with your employee and your vendors, one of the two of those start coming to head, then it's like, then it can very quickly become, oh my God, my business is falling apart. It may not be, but it will feel like that for sure.
And I think it's crazy. Like it's things that you never consider because you think, hey, everything's just working and everything's just moving, and this is how business works. And business doesn't have a lot to do necessarily with the softer side of things of people's personalities or how relationship is. But like you start going sideways on a couple of those relationships, and it can have a real big downstream pain point of just how things work in business because now there's a whole new pain point. Drew and I talk about all the time. I learned a phrase when I was doing project management for a big local credit union here that had lots of branches, lots of extent, from here to the coast in Southern Oregon. And the CEO always used to reference it as bookshelf strategies. And the reference was, hey, when we get ourselves into a cluster function of all proportion, we should have just a strategy we're able to pull off the shelf and dust it off and be like, okay, how do we handle this? Like what's the bookshelf strategy for the next big crisis we're going to be up against? So Drew and I talk about all the time for Coffee de las Mayas down in Belize, like what are our biggest vulnerabilities? Like
Mm.
where's the next big break? And what's our solution for that if that were to roll our way? And I think that's really important for us all to think through. But I think that a lot of times the best thing you do, the best bookshelf strategy that we could offer you is do like climate checks consistently once a
Yep.
quarter with your key relationships. So whether that's, I don't know if you have to do it with every vendor, but you probably have a couple key vendors that it's really important that you maintain those relationships. Your managers, you listed those off. Great, Ben. For a manager, that's the people working underneath them, the baristas. Those are their key relationships. If you have partners in business, that's your key relationship. But like, I think it's just a consistent quarterly check-in where you're able just to check in, EOS, which is Entrepreneur's Operating System from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. That's what we roll out for all of our clients. So we've got 35 clients right now that we're carrying. We tell them all right about this time of the year, quarterly check-ins, man, 555. If any of you want that system, it's super easy. It's simple. I love it because it's really relational. You just drop 555 or quarterly eval or quarterly check-in on any of our socials. I'd love to send you out the tool and the video for free on how we do them. But I just think doing some sort of systemic check-in with key relationships is so, so important.
Mhm. I mean, we felt that super hard in the summer of 2020, the glorious summer of 2020, and
Oh,
not
man.
checking in with our baristas and our employees enough. Where we were quote unquote an essential business, so we got to stay open. But that also was in the uncertainty of what is COVID, what's happening, what are we
Yep.
doing, and so that's something that rippled and was felt all the way down to the baristas, like just a high level of uncertainty. Like, are we gonna have to shut this down the shop tomorrow
Yep.
because somebody comes back with COVID? That, and there's the political climate was just a ton of uncertainty. So we weren't doing those regular check-ins all the way down to every single even evening barista, and we felt that like that came to a head pretty quick too. We had a lot of angry baristas. They felt like they weren't getting heard. We had managers who were like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I can do this. That's an extreme case because we were living through a very extreme summer. But if you're doing those check-ins, those climate checks, you can nip a lot of stuff in the bud, especially if it comes down to your employees just not being happy about something, or your
Right.
business partner not being happy about something. If we have a regular check-in, we can talk about this before that barista starts then going, "Hey, other barista, this is the problem I'm seeing, and it doesn't seem like management cares." Well, when they go, "Well, hey,
Yep.
yeah, me too. Hey, let's talk to our other barista, our other buddy about that." All of a sudden, you've got a shop of discontent baristas and managers, and you probably wouldn't have had that problem happen if you just checked in at least, once a quarter, say, hey, what's the climate like, guys? How are you feeling? I know we're in some pretty uncertain times right now. Here's what we're doing to mitigate it. And tell us what you're feeling essentially on the front lines of the business.
I think that it's so critical. I think you're exactly right, Ben. One of the things I really love about EOS's 555 for a quarterly check-in is working and not working, right? It gives you like that spot where the 555 stands for your 3 to 5 ethos statements, right? Your mission, vision, values, like how are people lining up to those? And you actually rate both the person that's supervising and the person being supervised gets a rating on how are we lining up to our ethos? How are we lining up to mission, vision? So that's the first 3 to 5. 5, 5, 5, right? So the next 3 to 5 is roles and responsibilities. How are they lining up to their roles and responsibilities? They should have some key performance indicators showing how they're lining up to those things. And then what are the 3 to 5 things you assigned them as big projects this quarter? Like, did they get those done? Did they not get those done? Like, you should have some accountability in an eval. But the thing that I love most about the 555 is that whole conversation of what's working, what's not working. Because I think sometimes we as owners forget the first people we actually market to are our own. We're
Yeah.
always thinking about marketing messages to the outside. How are we communicating to customer? How does customer know? What's the message we're telling to them? But the first people that we need to be marketing to is our own people, because if our message isn't strong internally, then they just become a broadcast of whatever it is that's going on internally. So if like
Mhm.
shit's messy inside of your business, guess what? They're taking that shit and they're broadcasting it out the window every time they go and they slide that sucker open because they're kids, right? And they don't have good answers. And if people start asking questions like that, the reason why COVID was such a nightmare there is because we didn't shore up our marketing internally
Yep.
first. And because we didn't, it became a mess when we went to the outside. And then like, Ben, what a time for you to be like COO of 150 employees, like 15 locations. Like that thing was like a pipe bomb that went off in your hand, because now you're trying to handle damage control because we have picketers around some of our locations and some of
No.
our employees are in the picketing line. What the shit is going on? You remember those days?
It is such a nightmare. Talk about trial by fire. And then whilst that's happening, you're also having to navigate different regulations. It seemed like every other week. Okay, you have to do this now. Okay, now no, you don't have to do that. You can do this now. So like trying to juggle that is business is already as difficult as it is on its own. Tracking your P&Ls. Are we marketing? What's our COGS? What's our payroll? Like that's enough of a headache.
Yep.
Don't add another headache of your people going, well, yeah, this place sucks. I'm working here as a chore. I only do this because I need the cash. Like you can mitigate that really easy with check-ins if you just talk to your people more, talk to your business partners more, talk to your vendors more.
Yeah.
If the people part can be easily mitigated, but it can bring the most stress. If you're looking at numbers on a spreadsheet and you're looking at your bank account, that's super stressful. If you add in somebody saying, leaving your review saying, yeah, the barista is actually really bad mouthing the owner and saying how the owner is a horrible person, and they're actually protesting outside your shop. Like that's a whole nother level of stress that takes it to the nth degree that you just don't want to deal with.
And listen, most of us drive automobiles. Like you don't just take the automobile in when the thing is breaking down. Like hopefully you're taking it in for maintenance. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going to keep you from the big breakdowns, like doing your oil checks, like having them check at the 60,000 miles or whatever the next big milestone is. Like I think it's really important for us to realize what's keeping your machine running is consistent maintenance and check-ins. It's the same thing with relationships, right? Like if we're not checking in on these relationships, I think, listen, I get it. Like business owner, maybe you're listening to this and this is overwhelming you. I don't want to overwhelm you. What I'm saying though is if you'll schedule it out to happen quarterly, then you don't have to worry about it happening throughout the rest of the quarter. Like you just roll that stuff forward. Obviously, if somebody's no call, no showing, that's a big deal. Obviously, if there's barista, like people are at each other's throats, you're going to have to talk about that. But some of these things can be actually coaching moments that you save until your next quarterly eval. Just make yourself notes on each of these people. And then when you roll into that quarterly eval, let's have a conversation and then hear them, listen to them. And then like, I think people, a lot of times these quarterly evals can just be like a 15, 20-minute conversation. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It's
Mhm.
just like get a climate check and then realize that you're able to talk them up, coach them on the things you want to see different. And when you do that at a consistent cadence and it's documented, then you're able to say to people, hey, we've been talking about this now for the last 3 quarters and I
Yeah.
haven't seen a lot of change. So I'm just going to have to say we're just not a good match. And man, God bless you as you go. But that way it's not just like this gut check, or you leave your poor baristas of you never really formally talked me through that. You as the owner have just been getting more and more pissed every time you see it, but you don't create an opportunity to talk about it until you just blow up on somebody. And that's not a fair way to manage people.
Mhm.
That's not, and that's not going to be healthy for you, because then you're going to lose the ROI on this investment you've made, the return on investment of this person, because you didn't handle them rightly, because you didn't just do a consistent check-in and do maintenance on your people. I think it's so important.
Yep, yep, and I mean, like I said, that's spread that to your vendors, spread that to your business partner. If you're in, I mean, I would hope that you're doing that more than quarterly with your business partner. I would say you're probably having weekly check-ins, but even if it's quarterly, if it's just this is on the books, this is scheduled. We neither of us can get out of this. We need to sit down and talk to each other straight on, okay, what's happening in the business, what's working for you, what's not working for you. Here's what's working for me. Here's what's not working for me. And again,
Right.
document that. You can have conversations back and forth all week long and never actually sit down and be like, hey, bro, how's it going? How are you feeling about the business right now?
I love my weekly meetings with Drew. Drew and I talk every Friday, lasts about an hour, and we'll talk through the pain points that we're feeling. And then we'll just get to just some heart to heart, person to person conversation too. Can I just say this? Like, make sure you remember your people are your people, right? Like, that's how it started. That should be how it started. Make sure you maintain friendships. Make sure if you're a spouse, make sure you maintain relationships. Like, I think it's so important. Like, because otherwise, if it's all business, like that's going to break down over time. So maintain those relationships. And the other thing I found, Ben, that really helps is find a third party that you can bounce stuff off of.
Mhm.
Like, if your romantic partner is your business partner, find a third person that you can like bounce stuff off of so it doesn't just live between the two of you. I think CoLab team, we do that all the time, Ben. I feel like half the time you and I, we're in like relationship counseling sessions where we're like helping people work through stuff, but like at the same time, like helping them make decisions and like just have somebody you can trust that you can bounce stuff off of who's been under the hood of dozens of other companies and can give you some just honest third party feedback. So just want to encourage you guys as we're in this like changing of seasons, as we're in this like quarterly opportunity for you to do a check-in, make this quarter the one that counts. Stretch it out over this whole month. Make sure you make good check-ins on your key relationships. If you want that tool, just drop quarterly check-in or 555 into any of our socials. We'll get it to you. But Ben, I think you do this so good. And I just want to commend you, man, because I think that you do quarterly evals so well with the clients. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All righty, brother. Well, coffee experts, thanks for tuning in today. Ben Clatterbuck, thanks for joining me on the show. And we'll
As
see
always.
everybody next week.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.